Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Databank characters. I'm going to talk about Tribbie and Mydei today. The thing that I would warn about is if you have not gotten to Amphorius yet in the storyline, I would recommend you just play through it before you listen to the character backstories here, because it might spoil like a pretty big part of the Amphorius storyline. That's, in my opinion, kind of important for you to find out in the moment. But yeah, here we go. First of all, I'm going to talk about Tribbie. Tribbie is actually 3 different characters. Tribbie is part of the Tribios. It's very, it's not exactly explained why she's 3 people, but she and 2 people that look almost exactly like her, Trian, Trinon, and Tribbie, are the 3 characters that are the Tribios, the Holy Maiden of Janusopolis. So, as said, it's actually kind of important, if not for Tribbie, but for Mydei, that you play through the storyline, because it can spoil a plot point, because for Tribbie, when you get to the city, you meet the other 2 copies of her. They don't look exactly the same, but they are very similar, same height, same, voice and everything, but they have a little bit of a different demeanor and way of acting. First things first. As you can see, I don't own the characters, so I will have to read from the site. But you can see the character introduction right now. It says, "From that holy land blessed by the tripartite prophecy, the messenger split into 1,000 forms, embarking on a long journey. Tribios, Holy Maiden of Janusopolis, the Chrysos heir who stole Passage's core flame, toiled for the masses and brought the news of deliverance to all domains. Seek the children of humanity with golden blood in their veins, shatter the dimmest dark in this world, and walk toward the tomorrow where the stars gleam." So it's kind of like her mission is, what this is saying, is to try and find all of the Chrysos heirs, the people with gold in their blood, and try and guide them. Very fitting, by the way. The music you'll hear in the background, this soft background noise right now is just the character's screen, but the music itself is actually from the city. I'm right now standing to the person that has like the quests where you look at items and see if they are actually genuine or not. I'm standing next to that guy if you want to listen to this music. So, the character details is from that holy land blessed by the tripartite prophecy, so the exact same thing. Messengers split into forms, embarking on a journey. Tribios, Holy Maiden, Chrysos heir who stole Passage's core flame, toiled for the masses, seek the children. So it's the exact same thing for the character details as for the introduction. Character story part 1. Date redacted. It's been 10 years since I fled Janusopolis. In those 10 years, we measured the earth with our steps, unknowingly covering every corner of Amphorius. The spread of the black tide has been far worse than expected. From west to east, from south to north, even cities high in the sky have not been spared. We watched as tiny nations were consumed overnight by the growing black tide, turning all life into its fuel, surging forward with even greater force. The once glorious past of Amphorius is gone, replaced by overwhelming decay, raging titans, fallen heroes, and displaced people. But those consumed by the strife fail to see. The black tide has drawn near the inland cities. These cities are rich and well connected, thriving on trade, but some dismissed our prophecy as nonsense and saw us as mere priests of bad omen, with no one listening, no one caring. If it takes shedding blood to unite the people, why not let it start with us? I think there's a thing in the text here now. It says try and then redacted right after. So it could be the different names or the name of the little city, the little village that they are in right now that has fallen to the tide. Try redacted. I know you went to the front lines to send word of the black tide's advance, only to be struck down by the arrows of black tide creatures. Try redacted. I know you helped the refugees escape, only to be despised by the nobility and left to die by an assassin's dagger. Try redacted. I know you escorted lost children so close to safety. Your bright braids are now soaked in blood and you can no longer braid or care for them. With the fall of one city after another, the people are beginning to look beyond their endless conflicts and see the world on the brink of collapse. The blood of the innocent will not be shed in vain. We've walked the first steps through thorns, hoping those who follow us will go further than we ever could. An ancient diary entry. The paper is thin as Sisada wings, left in the arms of a doll by Trian. So, the black tide that they are talking about is right now sweeping over Amphorius. It's a thing that when you go through Amphorius that you kind of see. It's those... I don't know if you've ever played, for example, a game like Warframe or Final Fantasy XIV. It's some of those areas, like the Warframe quests that you need to do to level up your rank as Tenno. Like after you've gained enough levels, you need to do like this mission, like, or you sneak or you kill enough enemies within the time and you get like a high rank. The areas themselves are existing out of black, almost cube-like areas, and it's very similar to it. You also encounter them in Amphorius, and you need to figure out a way to clear the path of those things using like the things that you look back into the past. The thing is, the Black Tide can't even be controlled by the Titans themselves. And according to the history books in this game, the Black Tide first dropped back in Era Bellica alongside the 3 Titans of Calamity, where it destroyed multiple city-states and drove many of the Titans mad. This led to Tribios taking Janus' core flame to become the first demigod and lead Amphorius into victory. Afterwards, she split into 1,000 messengers to spread the divine prophecy across the land. Later on, Empress Siridra united the Chrysos heirs with the task to kill the corrupted titans and take their core flames to save Amphorius. So people are actually believing that the core flames, if you collect them all, you could actually stop the dark tide from consuming everything. Character Story Part 2. Date again redacted. Holy Maiden, we are ready to listen. Guide us through these end times and pray for our victory in battle, said the kings. The kings restored the identity of the Holy Maiden of Janus to us, placed us on an altar, dressed us in silk, and concealed our faces with ceremony. Yet we did not return to the city but lived in the castle. We wished to pray for the sick farmers and wandering warriors, to ease the sorrow of the grieving, to guide the lost, to bless the newlyweds, and to watch them sing around the bonfire. Yet, just as it was in Janusopolis, the kings were unwilling to see us mingle with the people. Mother, at this moment, we truly understand your helplessness and despair back then. We once believed that the prophecy would compel the kings to set aside their grievances and unite in search of the Chrysos heirs, offering a glimmer of hope for salvation. Yet, they fear those with golden blood might strip them of their power. What they desire are wars waged in the name of prophecy. The hard-earned trust and the expectant gazes of the people are gradually being eroded. The core flame of Janus burns even hotter, and the golden prophecy continues to scrutinize us, urging us forward. We decided to flee. Trai redacted, and Trian opened the Century Gate, planning to meet in the dense forest, but encountered a rain of poisoned arrows. Trian dodged the disaster but was unfortunately taken hostage by soldiers, becoming increasingly distant from us. Trai redacted chose to charge at the enemy's spear, clinging to the soldier who tried to withdraw his weapon, but we underestimated the king's cruelty. Even in death, we could not be claimed by other city-states. The pain inflicted was many times greater than usual. This spring most of us remain forever in the wilds where flowers have yet to bloom. I think these Trai redacted are characters that were lost, parts of the messengers that were lost, like Tribbie, Trian and so on. That might be the case, because now it says goodbye Trai redacted, goodbye Trai redacted, goodbye Trai redacted 3 times in a row. Trian, we are not yet ready to say goodbye to you. Please be sure to find us again. Tonight we will be able to cross this wilderness. A diary entry kept by Trinon, illustrated with a meteor crossing the sky. It seems like they have gone through agony to try and save the world. Yet, humans are greedy by nature, so Maybe they just want to keep the prophecy people to themselves so they can see the future but others can't. Character story part 3. Date again, redacted. The first time we met Agi, she told us she was fond of the name Tribios, praising it as noble and beautiful, much like the garments she crafted. We asked if that was her sole reason for keeping us around. She shook her head, explaining she mainly wanted to hear this teacher's nightly tales. And she was also just a girl back then, afraid of the dark and ghosts, remembering how her cravings led us on stealthy trips to the kitchen for leftover bread at night, always brings a smile to our faces. Time is a sculptor, and having shaped Seridra and Hyselens, now it has rendered Agi beautifully. Agi never lets anyone down, just as we've always taught her. Her golden threads weave a dense net, ensnaring any foe that dares come close to her fingertips. Yet the cleaners who dwell in the shadows ambushed our team on the return journey. The assassins loyal to the Council of Elders would never allow the growth of Chrysos heir, who could lead the holy city of Okima. We are no different. We too would rather sacrifice ourselves rather than stand by and look on as the young heroes lives were cut short. We managed to escape the ordeal using the Century Gate, though our consciousness grew hazy by one more portion. After the last passage through the Century Gate, I feared we'd never find Trinon and Tribbie again. Don't worry, Agi, it's not our time yet. We just need a brief rest and we'll be back on our feet, but we must hasten our steps now. A diary with weaker and weaker handwriting. Trian reminiscing, Trion writing, Tribbie adding. So it's like when they were together that they wrote this? Because it's Trian reminiscing, but Trinan is writing while Tribbie's like adding things to it. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Character story part 4, and the last one. Date again redacted. The dreams are fading. Hyacinth said it's because there's less and less we can remember, but today we dreamed of countless paths stretching into the darkness. The sky was pitch black and we kept running, but no matter how far we went, we couldn't find a way out. Don't be afraid. The fray is here. The supremely mighty snowy descended from the sky, driving away the monsters for us. Teacher, fly forward. The tiny purple cass flapped her wings, blowing away the stones ahead. Bang, bang! The strong grey raccoon struck with great force. Humph! The red lion devoured the villains. Our reliably new companions. They took the torches from those who came before, each one lighting up the darkness in turn, but the torches in our hands burn lower and lower. We need to hurry forward. With this thought, our bodies began to grow, becoming so big that we could touch the sky without even lifting our hands. Our toes sank into the vast sea while green leaves sprouted. Sprouted, it says, but I said sprouted because I think that's what she meant. From our fingertips. Trian's voice became the sound of rushing wind, carrying distant sands, and Trinon rested upon soft snow-capped mountains, ears filled with the lullaby of wind and rain. And so we walked, and soon there was only one path left before us. Ahead the sky turned rosy, the ground silver-white. The west wind blew, and the fields were in full bloom. Wait, this place feels familiar. Is this Amphorius? The roadside springs tasted of honey and milk, and the trees were heavy with endless fruit as we walked on. The moon and stars climbed the sky. That was 3 and then redacted, gliding among them. Ahead of us was also, and then three times with a redacted part of it. It turns out everyone was waiting for us at the destination. Look, there in the distance, Mother is greeting us. She's waving, smiling at us. Shall we go? One day we will come, but our journey is not over yet. So see you tomorrow? We will meet tomorrow. Yes, see you tomorrow. A diary filled with crooked handwritings and misspellings. So I think the longer and longer that they are alive, that they are losing parts of their memory and becoming more and more childlike. It's kind of sad though. The Agi they are talking about, I am pretty sure it's Aglaia. The person with the golden threads is Aglaia, so... The next character in question is called Mydei. Very important for you to play the storyline. As said, both characters that I'm talking about are like, oh yeah, by the way, this is me, or oh yeah, by the way, I'm from there, kind of deal. So it's very important that you actually play the storyline if you're interested in playing it. So, without further ado, the character details. Kremnos, the mist-shrouded city of chaos and war. Its royal lineage is tainted with patricide, and its god bears the name of Calamity. The undying Mydeimos, the lion apart from the rest. Chrysos' heir who seeks the core flame of strife must suffer 1,000 deaths, be bathed in blood on the path home, and bear the madness of fate alone. Kingslayer be king, Godslayer be god. Iron hooves bound across the wilderness for the campaign and must eventually soak in the blood of their homelands. So, he will die and it will hurt. That's literally what it says. The thing as well is, if I remember correctly, the Titan of Strife also has the ability to die multiple times. Character Story Part 1. In the ancient legends of the coastal city-states, the Sea of Souls is said to have birthed beings as mighty as gods. Fishermen speak of a king of the seas who appears among the waves as a young child with a fierce countenance and bluish lips, bathing in the bone-chilling waters of the Sea of Souls, wrestling with its savage beasts, thirsting for blood, and devouring flesh and bone. It is said that each time they sink to the seabed, they soon resurrect from the Sea of Souls. Over approximately 9 years, they reforged themselves no less than 10,000 times, ultimately tearing apart a giant monster, staining the sea red for miles, yet no flesh-eating sea creature dared approach. Legends speak of how that the king of the oceans could sweep countless fish and shrimp onto the shore with a flick of the tail. Once, shipwrecked fishermen praying for salvation were rescued by the king alongside his crew. As the tales grew more fantastical over time, fishermen started painting the king on their boats in the hope it will grant them safe voyages. Rumors have emerged claiming that this so-called king of the seas is the vengeful spirit of the crown prince Mydeimos. Terrified by the prophecy he carried, his father, the former king, cast him into the Sea of Souls at birth. His life cut short. The child died with his grievances unaddressed, I think? Vowing to scour the Sea of Souls. However, the writer believes this is merely the cunning Kremnions trying to glorify themselves for 3 reasons. First, through the Kremnions traditionally engage in father-son struggles where the victor becomes king, why would they throw a newborn crown prince into the sea? Second, even if King Euripon of Kremnos, grown old and senile, believed the prophecy and sacrificed his heir to the sea, how could an infant possess the divine strength to battle giant monsters? Third, even if such a child existed, he could hardly be Kremnoan. He would be a Kremnoan, known for the selfish and brutal nature as they are, why would a Kremnoan, assist fishermen struck by disaster? Dear readers, I will now reveal the truth, the so-called king of the seas. Naturally, he is the embodiment of the ocean itself. Excerpt from Inquiry into the Legend of the Mighty Sea King, archived in the Gipra Nipar Library Collection. And then, underneath the story, it just says strong, in a man's handwriting. Character Story Part 2. The lone army emits a strong scent of blood, like a blood-stained spear. The leading warrior, the spear tip, is always enveloped in unfathomable rage and hatred, thrusting towards the enemy. From Ladon through Idonia, the Aionius, he returned from death time and again, leaving towering infernos of war in his wake. In the infamous battle of Aionius, the undefeated Clytius raised his massive axe as thousands of arrows darkened the sky behind him. Yet when the smoke cleared and fire rose from the blood-soaked ground, the warrior's fist struck like a spear, tearing open Clytius' throat. After that epic battle, the true identity of the warrior became yet more elusive. That army clearly bore the marks of Kremnoan training but had never flown Kremnos' flag. None know whether they are Kremnoan spirits wandering on the battlefield, or lost souls who have long been away from their homeland. Wandering bards turned the lone army's journey into mournful songs, while in the rust-flavored winds of Amphorius, the lone lion led a group of old and weak soldiers as they wandered, searching for a non-existent homeland. Reality will never alter its face due to cruelty. The once elite citizens of Kremnos who followed him were but loyal, but mortal, lacking his godlike immortality. As time wore on, and even the gods of Kremnos succumbed to madness, how could humanity hope to know whither they should go? Will that proud lonely man carry the weight of his people's fate alone? Will he bind himself to the chains of kingship, or was it all just his wishful thinking? Except from A History of the Wars of Amphorius, archived in the Gibranipar Library Collection. And then underneath it says, Hephaestion, Perdiccas, Leonius, Ptolemy, Bukesta, your names will not be forgotten by history, in immense handwriting. Character Story Part 3. Mydeimos, you treacherous ingrate, you coward who has forsaken the spirit of Kremnos. You slew the former king and had your vengeance, yet you shirked the duty of restoring the dynasty. Was your honor swallowed whole by the beasts of the Sea of Souls? You roam among those who chase flames, swayed by the wild tales of a witch, fraternizing with low-born soldiers. You choose to pin your hopes on elusive oracles rather than trust in your strength. The Kremnoans yearn to return to their war-torn homeland, yet you urge us to settle in a city-state of our sworn enemies. Have you grown enamored with the opulence of Okema, or are you already bewitched by the mists rising from its golden baths? Mydeimos, you with your noble and immortal essence, how can you submit to that woman of Okema? You are a predator, a messenger of strife. Have you lost sight of the difference between a predator and prey? Rumors swirl that you saved outlanders from Nikador's skin, alongside the one claiming to the mantle of Kresos heirs. In that endless long night you let your body shatter, drenched in blood and madness. Mydeimos, your noble blood should not be wasted on such unworthy individuals. You should be rallying your armies and plundering resources to carve out a path for Kremnos' survival in these apocalyptic times. That supposed flame-chased journey has distorted you beyond recognition, my king. A king requires no equals, no allies, no doubts, no rescue. If any semblance of your clear mind lingers, command us. Let Kremnos' glory eclipse all other city-states. Excerpt from Collected Resolutions of the Kremnos' Council of Elders, stored in the Gibranipar Library Collection. And underneath it says, keep moving. A man's directive. Character Story Part 4. The holy city of Okema remains one of the last pure lands untouched by the black tide, yet the encirclement of the black tide around it has become unmistakably clear. For 1,000 years, wherever the black tide has swept, life has been twisted into inhumane monstrosities, and city-states have been eroded by the wind into desolate ruins. Even a stronghold like Kremnos saw its gods tainted by the black tide, leaving nothing but wastelands in its wake. Most of the core flames have been restored, yet as the black tide approached we found ourselves desperately short on time. All we have achieved will have been in vain should Okema fall before the Era Nova. Era Nova, or the New Age? The author boldly speculated that soon the heroes chasing the flame would inevitably face a decisive battle against the black tide. Historical records showed that even the most valiant warriors could not endure long within the black tide. Among the Kresos heir heroes, if there was any hope for this battle, it would either rest upon the fearless Phaenon or fall to Mydeimos. This wasn't merely because Mydeimos hailed as the bravest in his world, carried the destiny that defied death, nor was it solely because the old city of Kremnos occupied a strategic choke point against the black tide. Even though Mydeimos, like the Lion of Kremnos, had migrated countless times in his life and ultimately settled far from his birthplace, the solitary king would never submit to foreign rule. Once he had settled his people, Mydeimos, who regarded his mission as his very essence, would undoubtedly return home. Yet this time he bore not only the hopes of the Kremnoans, but also the future of the entire world. Talanton's priests once prophesied that the millennium of strife that started in Kremnos would also find its end there. Perhaps, one day, that eternal figure will face the black tide, suspended between life and death. Imagine such a scene, such a profound tragedy. Excerpt from Flame Chasing Observations Black Tide Special Report, archived in the Gipranipar Library Collection. Underneath it says, "As with the Sea of Souls, as it has always been." A recently made annotation in a man's handwriting. So it seems like a lot of people are actually putting a lot of trust on Mydeimos, because of his ability to not die. Another thing that it says, for example, on the thing, an overview for his character, it says at the start, "Kremnos swallowed by mist, city riven between chaos and war. The blood of patricide flows through its royal line, and its gods bears the title of calamity. The undying Mydeimos, the line apart from the rest, O crisis air that seeks the core flame of strife." It says the exact same thing as here. I actually am not going to try and get Mydeimos. I am actually waiting on the butterfly girl. I forgot her name now. But she's the one that you'll also encounter in the storyline that like when she walks, she leaves like these butterflies behind. It's, I think, Castories with a C. And she's one of the characters that is supposed to come later on in the warp events. So because that has not happened yet, I'm trying to save up a little bit. So either way, my voice is starting to go a little hoarse. I think you can hear it as well. We have, with this, finished the harmony characters. Next up will be the nihility characters. I actually really like the music in the background. For the nihility characters, as you can see, there are again like not 3 characters per episode, but depending on how long some of the episodes will be, I might have to split it up, so it will be 4 or 5 maybe parts, depending on how long it will be to read all of these stories. For example, I've only done 2 characters, but both characters had a lot of story or things that I kind of wanted to clarify for you guys, or describe a little bit. And because of that, we're almost at the 30-minute mark again. So imagine if I did 3 of those characters, I would be at 45 minutes. So if that's the case with any of these, I will make sure to try and evenly split it a little bit. So it's not like an episode of 45 and 2 episodes of 20. Or like a third episode is maybe 10 minutes, but I'll try to even it out a little bit for you guys. I will go from left to right as normal, but we'll see how it goes. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like. It does help spread these videos to other people. If you have anything else that you want me to read, leave it in the comments or let me know. If anybody's interested, I've tried to start streaming again little by little. There's also a new update out for Final Fantasy XIV. It's the Savage fights coming out next week. I did not stream the normal storyline, but I am planning to maybe stream the Savage fights if I get a full group of friends to do them with. If that's not the case, I'll probably have to do Party Finder, and that might not be as fun to watch since Party Finder is not very well known in the game as a nice place to be around. Either way, thank you for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want me to read anything else, please let me know. Please leave a like. If you like this, please, well, I guess it's sub on this? I'm not sure. follow me, I guess, so you can see when another video comes out. Have a nice day, have a nice evening, a morning or a night, depending on what time of day it is for you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!